What's up YouTube, I'm Guy, and today on the channel we are going to be looking at a watch called the Argonautic BG, a dive watch from the brand Davosa. A few things about this before we get into the review. Number one, I had mentioned in a video about a week ago that I was going to be doing a giveaway sometime in the near future. Well, this watch is going to be one of the items, one of many, I should say, that will be a part of that giveaway. Stick around till the end of the video to learn more about the giveaway, how you can qualify for eligibility, and maybe a couple of hints at some other things that will be a part of that giveaway. Number two, this watch is provided to me from Davosa, and they allowed me to use this as a giveaway item. So a big thank you to the folks over at Davosa for that. I had let them know when they reached out to me asking if I'd like to borrow a watch that, yeah, I would be interested, but I would like to use the watch as a giveaway to celebrate my recent accomplishment of reaching 10,000 subscribers, as well as approaching the 2-year anniversary of doing this YouTube channel. They very graciously agreed, so that's where we're at today. Again, very big thank you to the folks over at Davosa for providing this watch. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Alright guys, here it is, the Davosa Argonautic BG. Reference on this particular model, 161.522.90. I'll go over the basic specs and features about this watch, then we will jump into the review. So we have an overall case diameter on this watch, not inclusive of the crown and crown guards, obviously, of 42.5 millimeters. We have a 22 millimeter lug width. The overall thickness on this watch, 13.5 millimeters, and a lug-to-lug width from one edge or tip of the case to the other, or what I historically like to call the watch's wingspan, of 51 millimeters. The other basic specs and features of this watch, of course, we have stainless steel case and bracelet. We have a nice sapphire crystal with AR coating. The 120 click unidirectional elapsed time bezel has an ceramic insert, which is also fully lumed with BGW9 luminescence. The gray dial also has BGW9 on the markers, and of course it is found on the handset. Now we have a screw-down crown at the 3 o'clock position, and another little crown up at the 10 o'clock position. This is a screw-down helium escape valve. We do get full featured diving depth ratings of 300 meters. This watch uses a movement called the DAV 3021. That's Davosa's designation for what is essentially a Sellita SW200. The movement in this watch is, of course, an automatic hand-winding and hacking movement with 26 joules and, of course, a date complication over at the 3 o'clock position. 38 hours of power reserve, and an overall beat rate of 28,800 vibrations or beats per hour. There is no display case back on the back, so we can't take a look at the movement, but nevertheless, Sellita SW200 is a hybrid, or I guess technically a clone, of the renowned ETA 2824-2. It's an excellent movement, and for a watch of this caliber, perfectly adequate. The first thing you might ask yourself, is this just a Seamaster clone? When you look at it, yeah, you kind of see some similarities in style between this and an Omega Seamaster, but I would say that no, it is not a clone, or more appropriately, an homage watch to the Omega Seamaster. Really, there's only, in my opinion, 2 similarities. First of all, that helium escape valve up at the 10 o'clock position is sort of an iconic Omega Seamaster, staple, or it's a hallmark, if you will, of the Omega Seamaster. And the bracelet being sort of like a, what do they call this, an engineer-style 5-link bracelet. It is somewhat reminiscent of the Seamasters, but not an exact copy. Certainly the end links are different. I think the positioning of each of these center links is a little bit different. There's no edge polishing on any of the links. But yeah, it's a little bit reminiscent in terms of the bracelet construction or design, and that helium escape valve up here at the 10 o'clock position. Other than that, though, this is very much its own unique style or design. The case shape, the style of the case, very much its own thing. It is not a copy of the Seamaster, which has those sort of twisted or lyre lug styled case. The bezel is not like a Seamaster with the scalloped shaped bezel going around all of the edges. The dial and the handset are very much not an Omega Seamaster homage. So while it has one or two little features that might initially make you think, oh, Seamaster, no, it's really not an homage watch. It just has a couple of similarities. Coming in a little bit closer, let's take a look at everything in detail. First of all, we'll talk about the case. It's pretty nicely done. It is entirely of a matte satin brushed finish. The grain of the finish is a little bit on the coarse side. I don't know how well it'll show on camera there, but it looks good. Some people might complain that, there's no mixture of polished and brushed surfaces. I think that's okay, personally. Not every single watch doesn't need to be the same. Case in point, today I'm wearing my Hamilton Khaki Field Mechanical, which is entirely a matte finished watch. So it's nice to have options on the market that are, a little bit different. On the right-hand side of the case, we have very pronounced crown guards protecting the screw-down crown, of course, and that crown is signed with the Davosa logo there. The lines or the geometry of this case are very sharp and crisp, be at the top and bottom edges. You can see that around the crown guard where it transitions from case side to crown guard. It's a nice aesthetic. Everything is very industrial feeling. It's thick, it's heavy, it's a little bit chunky of a watch, but the overall flow of the case design works for that. You can see the downward sloping angle of the lugs, which terminates flat on the bottom edge and the front edge. Overall, yeah, I think it looks really good. Now, of course, we have this, and I'll address it quickly, helium escape valve up at the 10 o'clock position. If we take a look there, it is signed with what I believe is like the molecule symbol of a helium molecule. That's, I don't know, is that like a double negative? Whatever. It's got a little tiny helium molecule symbol there on the crown. To use the crown, and you would never would, right? Because you're not a saturation diver. But you would unscrew it, and it would pop out slightly. And as you are ascending from decompression in a saturation tank or whatever, I don't know the specifics of how that works, it would allow any helium that maybe has built up in the case to escape. You'll never use this feature, and I honestly kind of wish it wasn't on there. It's one of only maybe two negatives about this entire watch. It's just something I don't want or need. But the important thing to note is you got to make sure this is screwed down, or this could be a possible water intrusion point. So don't ever mess with it. Just keep it screwed down nice and snug, and you should maintain your 300 meter of water resistance without any sort of problems or difficulties. Overall, given the choice, yeah, I would wish that helium escape valve was just erased. It's not a make or break deal, but, that would be my preference. Now, the other crown, the crown which we use to control the watch, is very nicely done, and I'll note that the threading on this helium escape valve crown is nicely done as well. Unthreading it is super smooth, just as you would expect. Wind it backwards, pops out into the first hand winding position. From here, we can wind up that DAV 3021, or effectively Sellita SW200 movement. 40 winds or so is probably more than enough to get your watch completely wound up from a dead stop. Pulling the crown out to the first position lets us quick set the date, and the second position obviously hacks the movement. We can set the time as needed. Overall, yeah, it's, well done, basically. I have no complaints with the crown. The crown guards are certainly prominent, but, they don't interfere with anything. I don't have a problem with the size of them. Some people complain about the new Submariner Super Case and, the crown guards are too big. I don't know if people would dislike these crown guards because they're a little chunky. I love the new Super Case ceramic Rolex Submariners, so, in my mind, this is absolutely just fine. The air-coated sapphire crystal here, also very well done. We'll take a nice close profile look at it. Not domed or even standing proud of the bezel at all. The AR coating, pretty good. Of course, we're getting some reflections as I pan it back towards me and the studio lighting. that is obviously what it is. You can see there's a little bit of that kind of blue sheen or tint. And a watch without AR coating, like you wouldn't even be able to see the dial here, so that you can still even read the handset is sort of a testament to how AR coating actually works. Overall, scratch resistant is the most important factor when it comes to our crystals, and this being sapphire is a nice feature to have. The bezel is a stainless steel bezel assembly with a ceramic insert. The graduations on the ceramic are engraved, and as you run your finger over it, you can feel that engraving, which is always nice. Up at the 12 position at the 0 marker, you have a little orange pip, and it sort of matches the motif of the gray and orange on the dial. Overall, it looks pretty good. My personal preference as far as colors would be to have, the black version. That's just me. I'm boring. I like black dials, black bezels. But overall, I think that the style here works pretty good. The edge of the bezel, it's not typical of any bezel that I've ever used before. The knurling or the texturing is very, very aggressive. You get a very good grip on it, but kind of spaced out, as you can see there, right? So it's like slash, 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 little space, and so on and so forth. Getting a grip on it and manipulating the bezel, not a problem whatsoever. And the bezel action is, honestly, it's outstanding. Very good feedback from the detents of the click spring. Not too stiff, not loose and mushy. Overall, very well done. Now the entire bezel is lumed with BGW9. I'll demonstrate the lume here in a few minutes once we talk about the dial as well. But that's a nice feature of this bezel insert also. The dial's very nice. It is maybe just a little bit of like a grain texture, but otherwise just matte gray in this case. We do have a date complication, double framed over at the 3 o'clock position, but there is still a marker for the timekeeping purposes at the 3 o'clock as well, which is nice. I like when they don't completely move it far over to the right and erase that marker. I like that there's at least a truncated marker there. That's just me. The printing on the dial, it's well done. No applied logo or anything here. The Davosa printing, Swiss up at the top, down at the bottom, Argonautic BG, 1,000 feet, 30 atmospheres, automatic, Swiss made at the very bottom. If we come in even tighter here, we can get a nice good look at the grain or texture on that dial. The markers themselves outlined in a orange border matching up with that central seconds hand looks very good. Also that Argonautic BG text down at the bottom is orange. So yeah, the overall flow of the color scheme or theme, it actually works really well. The handset is very nice. It is like a broad arrow hour hand with sort of a not quite pencil, not quite broad sword style minutes hand, and then a large straight needle-like or lancet style seconds hand. Overall, the presentation of the handset, very legible. Works great for me. I like it a lot. We'll talk about the lume here briefly because it is quite nice. It is that blue BGW9 with a nice full charge from my high-powered flashlight. It's very bright. I can't say that I've tested the overall, what's the word I'm looking for? Long-lastingness? That's probably not what I want to say. The duration, there we go. The overall duration, I don't know, does it last an entire night? I didn't test it to that level of extensiveness, but the base level that we get from charging it up, it's quite good and very nice to look at. I had mentioned that we don't have a display case back here, just a screw-down case back, but it's really nicely done. The engraving on the center is very deep. Like if you run your fingers over it, you can really feel it. Overall, yeah, very nice. With a little polished ring with all of the sort of specs there, all stainless steel, ceramic ring, water resistant, 30 atmospheres, and so on. Simple screw-down case, but nevertheless done fairly well. The bracelet on this watch does feature solid end links like you would expect, and the links themselves are again kind of like I think it's called like an engineer style 5-link bracelet. I don't think they're true 5 links. I think it's just one not molded, but one machined single link that appears to be of 5 separate pieces. I can't say with 100% certainty if I'm correct there, but I think that's how it's assembled. overall, the flexibility, the comfort, if you will, it's quite good. The links are held in with just friction pins as opposed to screws. I'd like to see screws, I guess, but I don't mind friction pins. Obviously, it makes it a little bit easier to change or resize links. So yeah, I wouldn't call that a negative or a criticism of the watch. But overall, the bracelet is great. The complaint that I have, one of only, again, 2 complaints. Complaint number 1 was that helium escape valve here, which is more of an aesthetic style type thing. I just don't like the look of it necessarily. In terms of actual quality, this is really my only complaint, is the clasp itself. First, there is some good about the clasp. We do have a fold-over locking safety latch. We have plenty of micro adjusts here for positions. The swing arm of the clasp, it's a nice high-quality machined swing arm. The blades of the swing arms are that same smooth satin brushed finish. So yeah, there's a lot of good here. There's even a pretty nice diver's extension, and while I'll admit that I have absolutely no use for the diver's extension, the engagement and disengagement of it feels quality. So I guess, that's a plus as well. The negative is that, first of all, it's just a simple stamped stainless steel, kind of, a lightweight, thin metal. It's the type of glass that you find in much more affordable watches. And I think once we approach this $800 price point, I'd like to see a nicer, more robust machined clasp. It's also just a friction lock. And while I had mentioned that it does have a fold-over safety latch, which is good, and as you can see, signed Davosa, it would be nice if at a minimum it was twin-trigger, dual-button deployment, and not the simple standard friction lock that you see with these somewhat more, low-quality clasps, if I'm being honest. This is the only place, I think, where this watch falls short, and it's not a big deal. It's not, the worst thing ever. It's fairly typical to have this style clasp even in, similarly or maybe slightly more affordable Seiko watches. But, when you're talking about Seikos in that $400, $500, $600 range, this is the same clasp that they have as well. And I think that even for Seiko, it should be a better clasp. It is a big watch. It's a bulky watch. You can see there, it's thick and tall on the wrist. It's definitely got a lot of presence between the 22mm lugs, the 42.5mm case, and that relatively thick 13.5mm thickness. Yeah, it's bulky. The biggest probably problem dimension for me is the 41mm from lug to lug. My wrist size being 6 3/4 inches, it is just a little bit too big for what I am personally comfortable with. If you like bigger watches, or if you have a bigger wrist, then it'll work perfect for you. Now, it is nice that I can't really do like a good angle, but it stays very low to the wrist. As I had mentioned, those downward sloping lugs, it rides low and snug and tight to the wrist. It is comfortable, for sure. It's just, bigger than I prefer. Subjective, personal taste, but, I have to mention it when I show the wrist shot. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that presentation of the Davosa Argonautic BG. Overall, it's a cool watch. 1 or 2 minor complaints, but, that is par for the course. The watch is absolutely perfect. Stick with me for a few more minutes. I'm going to talk about the upcoming giveaway and let you know how you could potentially win this watch when I announce the giveaway officially, so don't run away. So, what do I think of the Davosa Argonautic BG? Well, I think it's a very cool watch. There's a couple of little things that I didn't like, but really nothing significant. I would say the real only shortcoming is, of course, the clasp, not even the entire bracelet. But I would really love to see Davosa put a slightly higher quality clasp on this watch. I think it deserves it. I think it would just give it that little extra nudge that it needs to be just about perfect. Not only did I have this watch for review, but it is going to be one of the items for my big 10,000 subscriber / 2-year anniversary giveaway. How can you be eligible to get this watch? Well, my plan is to do an official announcement for the giveaway on around October 1st, so a little over a month from now. I have some more items that I'm going to be adding to the giveaway, and I want to review those over the course of the next month. So you'll be seeing videos drop that say, hey, this is another giveaway item. To be eligible for the giveaway, if you'd like to get a head start before I do the official giveaway announcement, It's going to be pretty simple. Basically, if you are a part of any of my platforms, you're going to be eligible. What does that mean? Well, that means if you're a subscriber to the YouTube channel, that's one way to be eligible. If you follow me on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, those are going to be other ways that you're eligible. All of my Patreon subscribers are obviously always eligible for any giveaway that I do, so you could always help support the channel by being a Patreon supporter. What else is there? A couple of groups that I am involved with on Facebook. Horology 101 is a Facebook group dedicated to general watch discussion, of which I am a moderator of. And the gentleman that started it, his name is David. He actually joined me for a live stream last week. If you didn't see that video, go back and check out that live stream with David. So yeah, if you're a member of the Horology 101 Facebook group, you're going to be eligible to win. Now, when I pick a winner, I'm going to sort of randomly decide where I'm going to pick a winner from. It might be from any of those platforms. So if you're in all of them, that's more chances to win. I encourage you to get a head start and go follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of the other stuff, so that when we do the giveaway, you don't miss out. Alright guys, that's going to wrap this video up. I hope you enjoyed checking out the Davosa Argonautic BG. Again, a big thank you to Davosa for sending this watch over and allowing me to use it as a giveaway item. I really do appreciate it. If you'd like to help support me and the JustBlueFish YouTube channel, of course, follow me on all those social media accounts, links down below. Support me on Patreon. I really do appreciate all the guys that are over there supporting me already. Finally, if you want to buy anything that I've ever reviewed on Amazon through my affiliate account, which affords me a small commission with every single transaction, there is always a link to Amazon down in the description of all my videos. Click that link first before you do your shopping, and a very big thank you to everyone that's been doing that. I really appreciate it. Well, I'm going to wrap this for now, and yeah, we'll be back probably over the weekend with another video. Bye now.